reframing what it means to hustle on our own terms. And that means that, yes, we're still going to aspire for great things, but maybe we are not pushing ourselves in the ways that we used to coming into entrepreneurship. You hear people talk about how hard it is, but does it have to be?
Yeah.
Does it have to kill you?
My motto in life is I only work so I can eat, drink, and travel.
Love it.
Literally.
That's it.
Like I tell people, like if my daughter comes to me and wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, I'm going to be disappointed. Right? And not in a way that obviously I would be proud of if that's what she really wants to do. But you could just make up a career.
Yeah.
And be whoever you want to be.
This is one thing I have added to my life in the past year that has changed my life and has made me feel like it is worth every ounce of pain to be an entrepreneur. I no longer set my alarm clock. Welcome to Hustle Adjacent, a new podcast about how we are chasing softness, but we still have a little bit of ambition. I'm Arianne.
And I'm Kelly. And we're just two entrepreneurs, interior designers, and very real women figuring out how to create this life that we want and while we still love our work.
Yeah. This is the behind the scenes look at how we're building success while protecting our peace. That's why we're here.
And trying to protect our peace.
Right. And I have to give you the credit for us being here because we had this idea a couple months ago.
Yeah, we were talking about something else, and then we went on a riff
as
we do, about a client or whatever it was. And I was like, this would be funny as a podcast, or if we sat down to think about it. And over the last few months, we actually pulled this off, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's not our typical mode of operation. I am very much the overplanner, overthinker. There are a lot of ideas that have never seen the light of day because I can't perfect it to the last detail. And I think what you bring to this dynamic that is so inspiring is you are like, nah, let's just do it. let's just figure it out as we go.
I have things that haven't seen the light of day. But then there are other things I'm like, let's just do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
As my grandmother used to tell me, the worst somebody can say is no. Right? So you can ask all day, just get it out there and see what happens. So I'm super excited that we finally got it done, or we're here today to get it done. And I just want to see what's going to happen. One of the things we talked about was, when you're running a business and you have employees and you're doing all this stuff, it's just very serious all the time. And this was just supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be over the top. It's supposed to be us just having a good time and talking about the things we would talk about anyway. And we thought other people might want to hear it.
Yeah. Definitely a creative outlet for both of us because that's something we were both craving as very accomplished and high achieving women. We wanted something that was fun. And I think also the podcast is inspired by when we talk and have our business, networking, professional support conversations, they're so funny that I think we're like, man, if people heard how we, the conversations we have, they would die laughing, but also probably get a lot of insight because I think that what we do for each other is not just support each other through the rough stuff, but also encourage each other and bring that levity. That's what you need to keep moving in a very, very stressful industry.
Right. And I promise that I will do less cursing in this.
We'll try.
I'll try.
Yeah, we'll try.
It's a bad habit.
I know.
But
it's okay.
I'm from Chicago.
Right. So speaking of Chicago, tell us a little bit about you for people who don't know who Kelly Finley is.
Yes. I'm originally from Chicago, born and raised. I came to Atlanta for college, met my husband here, moved out to Cali 20-something years ago for me to go to law school. Worked at a large law firm, and then made the transition into interior design. And I've now been doing that and running Joy Street Design for 14 years. Wow. It'll be 15 years next year, which is bananas to say. And so we're now back in Georgia. We came back maybe 4 years ago, and now I'm in Atlanta, back to my husband's home state, hometown, and just starting kind of all over.
Right.
So that's one of the cool things about doing this podcast in the sense of trying to find some fun and creative outlets is that I'm also in the process of starting over. So this can be a new outlet for me as I figure out the difference between running, a larger California firm versus coming to Atlanta and starting over and still having the California connection and going back. So it's just been a lot happening, and this will be a great outlet to get some of those that overwhelm out as well.
Yeah. And to remind us of the things that we learned, the lessons we've learned as we've grown businesses. So the thing that you and I have in common is this, design career being our second career.
Yes.
So I'm actually from Louisiana, born and raised right outside of New Orleans. No, I do not have the accent. No, I have never had the accent. And then moved to Baton Rouge to go to college, started my family there in Baton Rouge, briefly had a stint in Houston. And when I was in Houston, that's when I went from being someone who worked in corporate America in public relations and marketing to someone who just naturally fell in love with decorating and then later design and organically built a business. And that was 12 years ago. So now I am back in Louisiana.
Yes.
But like you, had to figure out how to, plant myself in a new city again after starting my business originally in Houston and then coming to Baton Rouge. And now after several years in Baton Rouge, as my business has grown and then shrunk and then grown again, now I feel like I'm figuring out what the new season of Arianne Belazaire Interiors is. Like, what is it that I love and want to keep doing? And I think, again, like you said, that's what this podcast is. In our conversations, we often talk about not just the struggles, but also like what keeps us going and what we've learned. And the aha moment for us was when we jokingly said, we should do a podcast. And then I was like, ha, ha, ha. And you were like, no, girl, for real. Like, let's do it. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. You're like, no, for real. Let's do it. And so we had a series of Zoom calls and tried to figure out what do we have that we can offer to the airwaves that is not already covered. Like, there are a lot of people talking about design. There are a lot of people talking about, balancing work life and all the hats women wear and female entrepreneurship. But there's something that one of us said, I can't remember who to give credit to, but at one point in our conversation, we said, you know what? We're just two girls who are really want to live our soft life, but we got to hustle in the meantime. Like, we still got to work.
We still want to work. That's the problem, too.
Right.
Like, we want to be soft life girlies.
Yes.
But we also like being the boss.
Yes. And so we have a lifestyle to which we become accustomed that we have to pay for.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
What's birthed out of that is the hustle adjacent, which is the idea of reframing what it means to hustle on our own terms. And that means that, yes, we're still going to aspire for great things, but maybe we are not pushing ourselves in the ways that we used to. We are also looking at how to, incorporate some of our favorite lifestyle and TikTok trends, like the 12.
We love some TikTok over here. I'm just going to be honest.
What does that mean? And so the adjacency, I think, is something that people could relate to, especially if you've been in the game for a minute, or even if you're coming into entrepreneurship. You hear people talk about how hard it is, but does it have to be?
Yeah.
Does it have to kill you to get there?
And I think that it also is about realigning what your goals are and what you thought you wanted. I think that's a huge thing that we really have in common, in the sense of like, I used to want a large firm that had, 10 people and I had this person to do everything, versus now that's not what I might want to do. So like, I know we'll get into that a lot more, but it's thinking about who you were 10, 15 years ago and who you are now and what matters more. Like, now I have a 12-year-old. Mm-hmm. So there are things that 15 years ago I didn't care about it because I didn't have her, right? So there are just things that, because of life, we need to change and just not do as much as we're doing, or do it in a different way.
Do it in a different way. And make sure that we reach milestones, pause to celebrate them, and also that we get where we're going with enough time left to really enjoy life, because it's not promised to us. We don't want to, the old school way of thinking was you work till you're 70 and then you get to enjoy life. And I just don't believe in that. I know you don't as well. And so that's what this hustle adjacent is all about. So do you remember, I don't even remember really how we met. You're kind of one of those people I feel like I've known all my life. So
I was thinking about this, and as you mentioned, you're in your PR background. You've always been kind of out there, right? In the sense of you had I think you had a video course. And I don't remember what the name of it was. And I remember buying it.
Yeah, it was video marketing for creatives.
Yes. And it had like all these things about how you could, take video on your iPhone and then use these different programs to do, like, to make it and just do it. And like, you were just so positive. And I bought it, as I do.
Yes, you do.
I watched it, as I do.
Yes.
And I never
did anything
ever
with it.
tried
Thank
to
you for
do
the
anything with that.
passive income.
Exactly.
I will
So,
forever be grateful.
and I want to say one day we were in High Point and at Universal Furniture, and I saw you, and I was like, I'm gonna go and say hi, and that's what happened. I'm almost positive that that's how it worked. And the thing I always joke about is I remember you specifically because you were the first person that I saw with one of those bags. The Hulkin that you used to carry around in High Point.
Still carry
and you're like, I'm not carrying this stuff. And so I just don't take it. But you were carrying. And I was like,
all the things.
We're so different. And I love it.
Exactly. And we can appreciate our love. Okay, so backstory on the Hulkin. And then I'm going to get back to our meet cute.
Yeah.
The Hulkin, I swear to you, you could fight me on this. I was the first person at High Point with the Hulkin. You see it everywhere now. But the Hulkin is this little bag that you drag behind. You can actually put it on your shoulder. It has wheels. But it's the best market bag because when you get all the crap, you just toss it in the bag.
Just don't take any of it.
Well, here's the thing.
Like, no. I don't want it. I'm never going to look at it.
I also carried the Hulkin because in the Hulkin was a change of shoes,
right, I was gonna say.
makeup, snacks. It was my Mary Poppins bag, right? Because I often, when I'm at High Point, I'm doing multiple things.
Yeah.
I'm shopping for clients. I'm on panels. And you can't do market, or at least I can't, in high heels.
Yeah.
So the sneakers are what I'm wearing, but the high heels are what I'm going to put on for the panel. And then I touch my makeup up, and then I got like some protein bars, some bottles of water. That's how I keep going.
So 2 things from that statement. One is you can tell who is organized and responsible because I got a little bitty purse.
Yes.
That's going to fit my phone.
Yeah.
And I probably don't have business cards.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. And the other thing I was just thinking, just to be clear for anybody watching is that doesn't know, High Point is like a huge furniture market in North Carolina, in High Point, North Carolina. And you walk 20,000 steps a day.
Easily.
And you're going into different showrooms to figure out like what your client might like. And it's actually really fun. It's a great social engagement situation. It's a lot of parties and drinking. It's really good fun, but it is a lot of, it's overwhelming.
Yes.
And you get very tired. If you wear the wrong shoes,
It'll take you out the game.
Yes.
It'll take you out the game.
So she was prepared.
Yes.
I'm looking for the free food and the free wine and saying hi to people that I like. So,
and we meet and we instantly connect and continue to stay connected via social media. We then eventually get to be a part of this great professional support group, I guess is the best word for it, with other interior design business owners who we just talk about the things that we're struggling with or what we want to push each other and encourage each other to do to reach our milestones. And sometimes there are offline conversations that happen with each of us, depending on our expertise. Kelly and I wind up having conversations in one way, and that's what birthed this podcast.
Exactly.
So I think almost all of us, no, actually all of us in the group have interior design as a second career. All of us do.
Right. So I'll tell you, because I put the group together. So this is like the 3rd group that I put together. I really believe in community. And oh my God, I was about to say I was the only child. I'm not an only child.
That would be bad.
I have a twin brother.
Oh my God. Not only are you not an only child, you shared the womb with someone.
Yes.
How could you forget that? I don't even understand how that happened.
I don't forget, but I believe that you can, I have people that I love dearly that I chose, right? And so I believe in creating community where I go. That's what I meant.
Okay.
I love my family too, and I love my brother.
I hope
but
so.
I do think because I haven't lived in Chicago in 20-something years, not quite 30 yet, but 20-something years, I have a community here in Atlanta. I have people I consider to be family in California. And so when I transitioned from being a lawyer, I found being an entrepreneur and an interior designer is often very lonely.
Yeah, it is.
And you can only talk to certain people about different things. And so when I first started, I created a group in California. And then like my needs have changed over time. So I still have a group of people that we get together every once in a while in California. But then when I moved to the East Coast, I was like, I would love to talk to a certain type of designer who has their own firm. It is their second career. They have employees and they know what the difference is scale. And so when I was looking for that, it was, I was reaching out to people I knew. There are people I still want to add. I think we've always talked about whether or not we should add some. But I think it's a really interesting thing. And I would really encourage, especially young designers or young entrepreneurs, to find that crew.
Yeah.
Because it really helps you. And you can, I literally just sent a text like, hey, this contractor is being a complete whatever, and have you dealt with this?
Right.
Or how do you think I should phrase this? And, like, obviously we could do ChatGPT now, but to have other people who are going through it is really helpful. And that's, I think, what we were doing. I was talking to you about maybe new PR in Georgia, right? And trying to figure that out. And that's when this whole idea came up because we were riffing, whatever, we were doing that during the call. So I just think that's really something that I love.
Yeah.
And it's been crazy beneficial for me.
And I think the hearing others' perspective, having encouragement is absolutely needed when you're in any type of profession, especially a service-based profession, because there's so many dynamics. The other thing I tell people all the time is, as a designer, I am responsible for a vision that I actually don't execute.
Right.
I have to get buy-in from other people who often don't work for me to make sure that my project is completed at the end. And there's so much nuance and so many things that you have to navigate to get to the end, that the support of others who are going through it or may have gone through it before you and can give you a heads up of what to look for, the right questions to ask, or the red flags. That's what the community building does. But that's also, I think, what we want this podcast to be, which is something that you can listen to on your ride into work that reminds you that it's a little bit more grounded than you might hear on other podcasts. Like, we are not here to tell you all the sunshine and rainbows. We're also not here to tell you all the Debbie Downer. We're here to just talk about the reality of the balance.
And I think a part of that is also surrounding yourself with people who will be gentle, but honest.
Yes.
Right? Because there's sometimes I know I'm in the wrong. As we joked about the fact that, we're both perimenopausal. There are some days that I am irrationally upset with somebody that had nothing. And then when I take a step back, I'm like, no, that ain't right.
Right.
And so I think that you need to find that balance.
Yeah.
And that is really helpful. And that's what I think. I think you do a good job of that. And even when we talk, we're like, hey, maybe I was wrong this time.
Right.
But if I ain't wrong, then I want to go in.
I will go in for you too. I will fight that battle. And if it's not you, I will tell you all the reasons it's not you too.
Yes.
So I think what we've done successfully so far is hopefully invite people to want to listen more. I think we've defined what hustle adjacent means for us and what we're trying to accomplish with the podcast. You know a little bit of our backstory, but the goal is over the next few episodes, you'll learn more about our origin story, kind of what we've dealt with, some of our highs and our lows. So, Kelly, why is the soft life important now to you?
I think in this current environment, in this current world that we live in right now, it's just so much crazy happening.
Yeah.
Everywhere, like in every city, in every country. And I, just to be completely honest, have made an active decision to tune all of that out. Like, I obviously know what's going on in the world, but I don't engage. I'm not out here posting stuff. I'm not going to be a warrior for other people right now as I try to figure out what's happening with myself. So it's protecting myself,
That's right?
So as we talk about the changes in our lives that are forcing us to make changes anyway, I think that the soft life kind of rolls really well into that, right? Because this forces you to take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to spend 30 minutes on myself, and I'm not going to go doom scroll and look to see what's happening in the news today. And so it's just been something that over the last year, a few months or so, that's really been resonating more with me, because you can't show up as your best self if you're overwhelmed. And I found that being engaged in all these different things, it just was overwhelming me. I mean,
That's such a great point.
As you know, I barely post on social anymore and all that stuff. And it's a little bit of, while I still read it, and like I said, I love me some TikTok and all that stuff, I also can only do it passively.
Right.
And it needs to be all enjoyment. And my feeds are well curated.
Same, girl. I've done a really good job of making that my happy place.
Yes.
And I think that's such a great point that you've made, that the soft life is not just the typical like soft luxury glam, aesthetic. It is also about the mental health component. It's your well-being, it's your peace. And that is a luxury that we have often given away that we need to call back in. Like the luxury of a daily walk, the luxury of curating your feed so that when you look, it's things that make you feel good or inspire you or things that you aspire to have. That is so important. And it's a big component of why we are redefining what it means to hustle.
Right. Because we can still want success in whatever way we define it, but we also need to protect what we have. And just to be honest, like the generation that we grew up in and coming from the background I came from, you worked hard to have things, to get out of that circumstance, to be able to do the things I do now. So me pulling all-nighters at the firm or whatever, those were things that were necessary at the time.
Right.
We live in a completely different environment. You can do whatever you want. Like I tell people, like if my daughter comes to me and wants to be a doctor or a lawyer, I'm going to be disappointed. Right? And not in a way that obviously I would be proud of if that's what she really wants to do. But you could just make up a career.
Yeah.
And be whoever you want to be versus I needed to get out of Chicago. Like just to be real, that was my only goal in life. Was to get out of Chicago. And I knew education and schooling was going to get me there.
That's right.
And now it has.
Right.
And now I can take a step back and enjoy some of this soft life that I think most these younger kids already have.
Well, they came out the womb with the soft life. That's a whole episode. But to your point, we did not have the luxury of going to school for something that was a passion. Quite frankly, who knows what their passion is at 17, 18 years old? Anyway, but what we have worked,
did you even know?
Right. What we have worked to create for our next generation, for our kids, is a automatic soft life launch pad where they have the space to know that their means are covered so they can actually step back and say, what do I love doing? And to your point, I've had the same conversation with my kids. Figure out what you like. Go to school for what you like. It'll be such a different experience than going to school for what you think you should be when you grow up. That's two different things. And if you don't know, how about you save me the $80,000 in tuition until you figure it out? And I am cool with spending a portion of that and going to Europe and living in bar. Like I used to think that was so wild to hear a story of somebody taking a gap year and traveling because that was not my reality. Right. But what I worked hard to do for my kids is create that space so they could have that reality if it's beneficial to them. And that's part of why we've worked this hard. So I think what we're realizing is we're not just wanting to do it for the next generation. We want a little piece of that too.
Right. They're good.
They're good. Now we can take care of ourselves.
I mean, they'll have to talk to their people in therapy. Don't get me wrong. You know, it's a lot having to be your mama.
Right.
Even if you're good. Right. Even if you do get to do stuff. But you're right. Like, why do I want to be my child? Why can't I make that life for myself too?
That's right. I want to be my child and my dog. Those two groups have the soft life down pat.
Man, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need a little bit of that.
I think the big thing that we can kind of also add to this episode is just the thought of what we have so far let go of in terms of what we believed hustle was before and what we are redefining it to be now. So is there one thing or maybe a couple of things that you can think of that you have let go of in terms of expectations or even things you're doing?
I think the biggest thing that I've let go of is having a preconceived notion of what success looks like as a designer / entrepreneur.
Okay.
Right. I think that, there is always this idea of getting in magazines and all of that stuff and having this big firm and getting great projects. And there's still a little bit, as we'll talk about it, and it comes up, that part is like, oh, I don't want that, but somebody else got it. Like there's a little bit of that, but I no longer feel like when I had 10 employees, that is not what I need. Right? Like that is not. That's what I know.
That is what you know for
now
sure.
I don't know what this new vision of the firm looks like. I want it to organically happen and I want it to be completed with people who embody everything that I want the firm to be versus getting bodies in to do the work and saying yes to every project and just really being a lot more intentional. So that's a huge change for me versus wanting to have, this $3.5-4 million business that can do this, and this and never talking to clients and never, it was just a completely different situation. And I enjoyed it when it was happening. Don't get me wrong, but I now have a completely different view of what I want my day-to-day to look like.
Yeah, I agree with you in so much of what you said. And I think, for me, I remember in 2022, I think it was, or maybe it was 2021, I spent the last quarter of the year building out the dream, vision, and handbook for my company because I had just read the email and I was all inspired about making my business a franchise and, figuring out the process and like who I needed to have on the team. And by the time I was done with this exercise, I did have a handbook that was like, many, many pages long, and had all the processes and procedures. I had a script for what would happen and what the interaction was between a potential client when they called the office, all the way through if they became a project, and then how we communicated and how often. And it was like very regimented. And then my org chart was like one where I needed 20 people to support all the functions of what I had built in. And I felt like so accomplished because I had built the dream. Like I felt like, if you build it, they will come.
Yes.
So now that I'm very clear on what the dream is, like now I just have to go execute it. And the next 2 years were an exercise of trying to build that foundation. Like the foundation was never set. I would have, this many team members on board. And I'm like, okay, now I need to fill this gap. And then one team member would leave or And then it was like, okay, I have to keep rebuilding. And it was so much work. I felt like I was in quicksand. Like I wasn't gaining any traction. I was stressed. I wasn't doing the creative work anymore.
Yeah.
I was doing more of the admin work. I hated it. And I was losing quickly my passion for this industry, which is very hard and very demanding. And I also knew that I was selling a vision and experience, but in the background trying to build the infrastructure to support that consistently. And that, once I stepped back and realized, maybe if that very specific vision of success is removed, and I just create the space to really observe what I like doing, the projects I like working on, the people I like working with, and just build something that supports that, would that not also be success?
Yeah.
That is my change, is really going, what do I like versus what do I think I should be doing? And when I'm really honest and think about why I had to, in my mind, build a team of 20 and have this process and blah, 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 it was because I felt imposter syndrome at having come into this industry as a second career. Like I did not know to go to college for design when I was growing up. Maybe wouldn't have even done that had I known, right?
No.
But at the end of the day,
No way.
I recognized that so much of my early career was about doing what I thought I should be doing to get approval from my peers. And once you, go ahead.
Yeah, that's funny because I never have imposter syndrome.
This is why we're different and we love each other. Because
I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. They don't know what they're doing. We all just out here winging it.
But to be
some people are better at winging it than others.
Right. But to be very honest with you, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, if you come into a career like this that is part science and part art.
Yes.
And you do feel this calling to do it, but you didn't do it the traditional way, and all you hear are the loud voices of people telling you you don't belong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Then if you are not strong enough, and if you still have some healing and building to do, then you might spend a little bit of time focusing more on what other people are saying than what you know you should be doing. And I think the switch for me and what I've given up or how I'm moving differently is at some point I got to the point where I said, I don't really care what you think.
That's fair.
Because if you have time to figure out what I'm doing over here, you ain't got enough work on your plate. So now I just get to show up as my best self for my clients and my team. And it doesn't matter who else has an opinion. And I feel like once I made that switch, I actually did better work.
Yeah.
I had better projects because I wasn't so focused on
other people.
Yeah. I was doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think in terms of what imposter syndrome even really means is to feel overeducated. And so I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I am a supreme test taker. If you give me a multiple choice test right now on the subject I don't know, I will likely pass it. Like that's just my superpower.
That's incredible because guess what? I am not, but I am an essay. You give me an essay.
See, I'm not going to write the essay.
So we should do the test together.
We should take it again.
Right, let's take it again. You do the multiple choice, I'll do the essay.
That's how I got into law school.
All day, every day.
It was perfect. So I think what I did is, as I was working at the law firm, I was taking night classes. I was pulling all-nighters to finish design, like a drafting class. So, of course, I picked the nerdiest one first to do was drafting. Hand drafting.
I loved hand drafting.
It was fun.
That and color theory were my very favorites.
And so I did go back to school for 2 years at night to get some foundation. But also at the same time, I did not ever think I was going to change careers. I was just doing it for fun.
That's great. That means that you were really
I actually enjoyed being a lawyer for years.
That's incredible.
It was like I enjoyed being a lawyer until I didn't.
Until you didn't. And
then when I didn't, I just did. Like it was like I became automatically allergic to it.
Wow.
And it was funny because I was like the head of the associate committee. I was flying around. I was trying to do depositions. I had a argument in front of the Ninth Circuit. I did all this stuff. And then one day I got on this horrible project and I was like, oh, no, This is not the life I want to lead. And I will, we don't need to get into the firm I was at, but like they did everything in their power to get me back into it because they knew it wasn't a great situation.
Yeah.
The project wasn't great and nothing ever stuck. Yeah. It was like, once I was done, I was done.
You were done. That's it.
And I just like, I come in every day, I do the bare minimum, and that's all I got. You had multiple years of me being the overachiever, and now
that's it.
That's it. And then my husband got a job down in LA, and I took that opportunity to hang out my design shingle.
Yeah. And then the rest is history.
The rest is history.
I do think that the part of your story that resonates for me and probably many others, and it's also why I'm pushing my children to think differently about college than I was taught to think, is if you can go to college or correspondence school or some type of supplemental education to learn the thing that you actually like,
right?
then you will actually learn because you're there because you're interested in what you're learning. I did the UCLA.
Yeah, I did UC Berkeley.
See that? So I did the UCLA interior architecture program, nights and weekends, and hard work, girl. That was hard work.
I'm telling you, I was pulling out all-nighters.
I loved every minute. I would spend every weekend. My team members and former team members can vouch for this. I would spend nights and weekends in my office drafting, drawing, sketching, doing homework. Loved every minute of it because it was what I was interested in. I felt like it was making me a stronger designer. It made me speak more, knowledgeably about what I was doing. And when I took my first courses, they were because I felt like I needed to do that to justify myself in the industry. Yeah. But later, I realized I just wanted to be good at what I loved doing. Yeah. And so I think that in whatever iteration it could be applied to someone listening is when you take that thing off the table that you're doing for other people and you just center what you feel like you need to do, that is when you start to become hustle adjacent.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun to say one thing that we've added to our soft life. Like what, or one change.
Yeah.
Like, and maybe this is an every week thing where we're like, oh, this is my new thing.
Oh no, I have a great one.
Okay, start.
This is one thing I have added to my life in the past year that has changed my life and has made me feel like it is worth every ounce of pain to be an entrepreneur. I no longer set my alarm clock. I know because I'm going to get my work done. But what I used to believe was that I had to be in my butts and seats at 7:30 a.m. to welcome my team in, to show them that I, lead by example. And then when they would leave at 4:55, I would still work through and finish my work. And I was tied to my desk and I hated it. So now my treat to myself is I do not set my alarm. I will wake up naturally when I'm ready. I will get up. I will make the time to either dive into work or have a morning walk. But the freedom of starting my day the way I want to, absent the family, whatever they need. That is
you gotta feed
the
people.
Best soft life luxury I have ever given myself, and it has been life-changing.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't do. I mean, I do a version of that where I no longer rush to the office.
Okay.
So but I wake up at 5:30, and I give myself time because I want time before Zoe gets up. Yeah. I want to so I do a version of that, but I have an alarm. I have a little Hatch alarm that I use.
Hatch is great. It's a very soothing way to wake up.
Yeah, and it's like a little light.
The light and then the chirping birds.
The best is when you wake up and the light's not on yet. Oh. You're like, oh, turn back over, Kelly.
You got time.
You got time. Because, it's like a gradual light too. So if it ain't even on, you got real time.
You good. Yeah.
What's a good one for me? So here's what I'll say, and this is important for everybody to know. Mm-hmm. My motto in life is I only work so I can eat, drink, and travel.
Love it.
Literally.
That's it. As long as you're clear on your why.
Right. And so one of the things that I've changed is the type of traveling I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So what the hell? Why was I gone? Oh, my husband took Zoe on a Disney cruise for spring break. Okay. And he was like, do you want to go? Absolutely not.
That sounds like
in
fun.
No uncertain terms do I have any desire to go on a Disney cruise. So I was going to take I was going to go
good catch.
To just Mexico City or go do something ridiculous. Yeah. Go to a couple Michelin star restaurants. I went to a wellness spot instead.
Wow.
I took 3 to 4 active classes every day.
Wow.
They still had drinking and eating.
Okay.
So it wasn't that intense. I could not walk when I got back because I do not work out. But it was so fun. I came back refreshed. I didn't turn on the TV once. Like, it was just very, very nice. And so now my new MO is I would like to keep a little bit of that.
Yeah.
In
just for you.
And I still get to do this walking around the city and all of that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like my new kind of hack when I have a break to not rush into being super active.
Yeah.
And doing something else that keep me busy and being more chill.
I love that. I think that's a great aspiration. It's also something you could put on a vision board. You can have fun exploring like which places you should go and what activities you should do.
And you don't even have to go anywhere. Like, I went to Arizona, right? But like, I hiked. Mm-hmm. You can hike anywhere.
That's true.
I took a yoga class. You could do that anywhere. That's true. It could have been a staycation.
Yeah. Just as long as it's a treat for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, just taking the time. So that's my newest thing where I'm trying to be more, and I think it turned into like I now do a 30-minute walk every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
Like if it's raining, I'll do it on the treadmill. But like I wake up in the morning and that's kind of what I'm trying to force myself to do. And that really came from that experience.
That's great.
That's my newest.
Okay, you inspired me to
thing.
Look for something to do for myself too.
Yeah, I took all this video and stuff while I was there. And I was like, well, I'm going to do a video about it. And it's still on my.
Still on your phone?
Still on my phone.
Kind
of like with your course.
But one day.
So yeah,
I think that we have given people a good taste of what Hustle Adjacent is all about. I think that the journey that we've taken and what we'll kind of unpack over the episodes will be funny, but also insightful. Mm-hmm. And I think people will be able to relate in some way to the things that we're talking about. So I think this is a great way to wrap up the first episode.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us for the Hustle Adjacent.
We did it.
We did episode 1. We're so grateful that you're here. And if this resonates with you, DM us. Be sure to follow us on all our socials and make sure you listen in for episode 2.